You're not dramatic about it. You don't announce your exit. You don't post quotes. You just go quiet. Not as a tactic, as a decision. And at first, nothing happens. She still goes out, still laughs, still tells herself the story she needs to believe. This is for the best. She leans on the comfort of the old assumption that you're still orbiting, still reachable, still emotionally on call. Then one night, it's small, almost stupid. She reaches for her phone out of habit. She scrolls, she checks. She expects the usual, your name, your effort, your gravity. And there's nothing. No new message. No, just wanted to make sure you got home safe. No late-night softness. No pressure. No pleading. No proof of pain. Just absence. That's when the nervous system wakes up, because the human brain can tolerate rejection, but it struggles with irreversibility. The illusion was that she left a man. The reality is she lost access to a kind of stability the world doesn't hand out twice. And here's the truth-revealing part. Listen closely. When someone secretly regrets losing you, it's rarely about missing your words. It's about the brain realizing it mispriced your value after the market closed. The betrayal isn't always cheating. Sometimes the betrayal is quieter. A person betraying the reality of what you were because it was convenient. You were steady. You were consistent. You were the guy who handled problems without making them a spectacle. And because you were stable, you became background noise. That's the first illusion. If it's stable, it's cheap. The brain does this all the time. Humans devalue oxygen until they can't breathe. Reality? Stability is rare. Calm leadership is rare. A man who doesn't collapse under stress is rare. But here's where it gets personal. You watch the respect leak out in tiny ways. Behavioral examples, pre-break. The moving goalpost. Every time you adapt, the standard shifts again. The subtle comparison. My friend's boyfriend does this. A quiet attempt to downgrade your worth. The withdrawal test. She pulls back affection to see if you'll panic and overinvest. The public minimization. Jokes at your expense, little eye rolls, a tone that says, "You're lucky I'm here." The selective appreciation. Your effort is assumed, but any flaw becomes a courtroom exhibit. And if you're honest, brother, you felt it. Not as a single moment, as a pattern. The illusion she lived in was simple. I can always come back. He'll always respond. He'll always be there. Reality is what happens when you finally stop negotiating with disrespect. When you leave without begging, you don't just exit the relationship, you delete the leverage. And that's when regret begins, not at the breakup. Regret begins when the power dynamic dies. The brain is programmed, hardwired, for two brutal priorities: avoid loss, secure resources and stability. Not in a money way, in an attachment survival way. This is loss aversion. Losing something stable hits the nervous system harder than gaining something new. It's not poetry, it's brain chemistry. Novel attention spikes dopamine fast, but it doesn't anchor the body. Stability doesn't spike dopamine. It calms cortisol. It settles the nervous system. It builds safety, slowly. And slow value is the easiest value to underestimate. So when she loses you, really loses you, her brain runs a delayed audit. Who answered when life got ugly? Who stayed calm when I got chaotic? Who had direction when I was confused? Who gave me peace without making me earn it? Then comes the part nobody says out loud. Your absence becomes proof that you had options, and options are status. Not because you're better than her, because the brain equates scarcity with value. That's the biological truth. People don't always recognize value in possession. They recognize it in deprivation. Here's what's actually happening under the surface. Step 1. Devaluation. It starts with comfort, and comfort breeds entitlement. You become a certainty, so your value stops being processed consciously. Step 2. The testing. Then come the micro-tests, conscious or not. Let's see if he'll chase. Let's see if he'll tolerate disrespect. Let's see if I can withdraw and still control the connection. If you panic, you reward the test. The brain learns, withdrawal works. Step 3. The break. When it ends, there's often a brief chemical relief. Dopamine from novelty, adrenaline from change, ego from control. Not love, not clarity. Just a nervous system mistaking intensity for correctness. Step 4. The delayed trigger. Then you go quiet, and silence does something brutal to the human mind. It forces the brain to fill in blanks. That's when the amygdala, the threat detector, starts whispering. What if he's truly gone? What if I misjudged him? What if I can't replace that? Step 5. Memory rewrites itself. Now the mind starts editing. It forgets the boring parts. It forgets the reasons. It highlights your strengths like a highlight reel. This is not spiritual. It's cognitive bias under stress. Step 6. Regret becomes withdrawal. And this is where men get fooled. The late-night message arrives, not because she's suddenly enlightened, but because the brain wants relief from uncertainty. That's intermittent reinforcement, the same mechanism that makes gambling addictive. A little contact, a little warmth, then distance again. If you answer too fast, you give her nervous system a hit of certainty, and certainty kills regret. Regret doesn't grow in contact, it grows in consequence. Let me give you the signs. Simple, observable, undeniable. Before the breakup, you notice. Your peace irritates her. Calm feels boring to a nervous system addicted to stimulation. Affection becomes conditional. You get warmth when you're useful, coldness when you're human. Respect becomes negotiable. Tone shifts, dismissiveness, little contempt signals. You're always proving. You're not building a life together, you're auditioning weekly. She speaks in outcomes, not partnership. What are you going to do for me? Instead of, how do we do this? After the breakup, you notice the checking in message with no real purpose, the nostalgia bait, inside jokes, old photos, remember this? The surveillance, watching your stories, asking mutuals, liking strategically. The sudden softness when you look improved, busier, calmer. The crisis text, manufactured urgency to regain emotional control. Brother, don't miss what this is. It's not always a love letter. Sometimes it's a control probe. And the more dignified you are, the more confusing you become, because you're not behaving like the desperate version of you she expected. Case study 1. The replacement that didn't replace. My friend, call him Marcus, was the stable guy. He planned, he showed up, he didn't play games. She left and within weeks she was moving on. New guy, loud personality, constant posts, constant outings. At first, she looked happy, because dopamine looks like happiness on camera. 3 months later, she messaged Marcus at 1:17 a.m. Do you ever think about us? Not, I'm sorry, not, I was wrong, just a hook. Marcus didn't bite. He answered politely, brief, calm. 2 days later, she sent a paragraph. Then another. Then the truth leaked out. The new relationship was exciting and empty. Not evil, not tragic, just predictable. Case study 2. The test that backfired. Another guy I knew, Eli, was trained to appease. Every conflict ended with him apologizing for things he didn't do, just to restore peace. She learned a pattern. If she withdrew affection, Eli would overinvest. Until one day, he didn't. He stopped arguing, stopped negotiating, stopped explaining his heart to someone committed to misunderstanding it. She called it cold. But it wasn't cold. It was self-respect. 2 weeks later, she wanted to talk, not because she suddenly valued him, because the test stopped working. Case study 3. The one she couldn't trigger. Then there was Daniel. He didn't get loud. He didn't get dramatic. He didn't punish. He simply became unavailable. When she reached out, he asked one question. What's different now? She had feelings. She had nostalgia. She had loneliness. She didn't have a plan. She didn't have accountability. She didn't have structure. Daniel ended it clean, and months later, she admitted to a mutual friend. He was the only one I couldn't control. That's the kind of man regret visits. Not because he's perfect, because he's not purchasable. Now zoom out. This isn't only about two people. It's about an environment engineered for churn. Modern culture trains everyone to think like consumers. If something feels hard, replace it. If something feels calm, upgrade it. If someone disappoints you, label them and move on. Dating apps turned connection into a slot machine. Swipe, match, dopamine, repeat. Social media turned love into performance metrics, likes, views, relationship goals. And the most dangerous lie in the marketplace is this: there's always someone better. No, there's always someone different. Better is rare. Better costs you. Better requires humility, self-awareness, and patience, things the algorithm doesn't reward. Then there's the language epidemic, pseudo-clinical words used like weapons, toxic, gaslighting, narcissist, boundaries. Real psychology is meant to create clarity, but when people use those words to avoid accountability, it becomes a shield. So the system manufactures a person who confuses intensity with love, novelty with destiny, and attention with value. And then they meet you, steady, grounded, and they don't know what to do with peace. Here's the collapse point. It's usually not a grand epiphany. It's a night, a quiet apartment, a phone that doesn't light up, a feeling that the world is loud but somehow empty. She remembers the parts she didn't celebrate, the way you were consistent without being asked, the way you protected without needing applause, the way you led without controlling, the way your presence lowered the temperature in the room. And now, with you gone, she's left negotiating with a world that doesn't care. This is where the nervous system turns against the ego. The ego says, I made the right choice. The body says, then why do I feel unsafe? That mismatch is torture. So she reaches out, not always to reunite, sometimes just to prove you're still reachable, so her nervous system can relax. This is the moment men confuse contact for love. But contact can be anesthesia, and anesthesia is not healing. I'm going to say this clean. Regret is not the same as respect. Sometimes she misses you, the way a smoker misses cigarettes. Not because cigarettes are good, because withdrawal is painful. Sometimes she misses the version of you who overgave, the version who apologized first, the version who kept the relationship alive with his self-esteem. And here's the harsh truth that sets men free. If someone needs to lose you to value you, they didn't value you. They valued the convenience of you. Second harsh truth. A second chance without a structural change is just a slower betrayal. Apologies are cheap. Consistency is expensive. The brain can produce tears on demand. Character takes time. So don't listen to emotion, watch behavior. Because behavior is the only language the nervous system doesn't fake for long. Now what do you do with this? You don't become cruel. You don't become a statue. You don't punish. You become clear. Step 1. No reactivity. When she returns with nostalgia, don't flood her with your pain. Pain is real, but it's not a bargaining chip. Speak slowly. Keep your dignity intact. Step 2. Hold the line. If she wants access, she earns access. Not through words, through behavior, over time. Step 3. Demand clarity. Ask the adult questions. What do you want? Why now? What changed in you? What will you do differently, specifically? If she can't answer those, you don't have a relationship offer. You have an emotion event. Step 4. Evidence over intensity. Intensity is easy. Consistency is the test. You're not looking for passion. You're looking for stability that doesn't collapse under inconvenience. Step 5. Build outcome independence. This is where men finally win the war. Not by getting her back, by getting your life back. Gym, mission, sleep, money, brothers, skills, discipline. Not as revenge, as restoration. Because the real power is this. You stop needing her reaction to validate your worth. And when you stop needing it, that's when people finally see your value. If she regrets losing you, let regret teach her. Your job is simpler. Protect your peace, protect your future, and never again confuse being chosen with being respected.